Get away from me. I kick at the three men trying to hold me down and flail my arms as hard as I can. My fingertips have become claws as I try to reach for my inner wolf to shift in self-defense. I only just had my 18th birthday a week before. I haven't gotten good at shifting on my own yet, and it is nowhere close to night, much less a full moon, so instinct alone won't let me shift. Rain, I try to get my wolf to wake up in my mind. Rain, wake up! I try again to call her. One of the men has my arms stretched over my head while the other two have got my legs. I struggle against them, but it's useless without my wolf coming to my aid. I'm too small to cause much damage. They have me beaten with numbers as well as size. A fourth man steps into my view with a clear glass in his hand. It's full of some kind of dark-colored liquid, wine, surely not blood, and I can smell it from across the room. Its bitter odor stings my nose. I feel tears welling up in my eyes, and I hate myself for them. What good is crying going to do me? You do have spirit. I like that in a girl. Now drink this. Trust me, you'll like me better after some of our magic potion. I don't know what he means. I do know I don't want whatever he has in the glass. All my intentions to keep my mouth shut, to spit it out, to refuse to swallow, go away as he cruelly pinches my nose shut, cutting off my air. I hold out as long as I can until my head aches and lights are flashing in my eyes from lack of oxygen. The moment I open my mouth to take in a breath, he is pouring the liquid between my lips, flooding my mouth, filling my throat, choking me. I gag and gasp and grunt to try to get air while getting rid of the rusty-tasting concoction. That's a good girl. Give it a few minutes. Everything will seem so much better. I try to free myself from the hold of the men. It's still useless. I'm getting so hot. Why is it getting so hot? I remember I was on my way home from school. I was grabbed off the sidewalk and thrown into the back of a white van. Your daddy wasn't lying when he said you had a lot of fight in you. He owes me a considerable amount. Depending on how tonight goes, I just might even let him have credit left over to hit the tables again. It isn't as if he'll pose much of a threat to the house. I doubt he could win if we rigged every game in his favor. I try to shout for help, but my tongue is thick and useless in my mouth. I can barely move my limbs as heat seems to be racing through my body, spreading out from my stomach, making me pant, while I scream at the nothingness in my mind, where my wolf usually waits. Sweat has beaded on my brow. I know I've been drugged. What was in the cup? What did I drink? I keep trying to say no, even though I'm pretty sure it's useless. No one in this room is interested in what I have to say. Unfucking believable. She's pure. I have no idea what he means. I've only dated one boy before, and all we'd done was kiss even though we were in love. I am saving myself for my mate. His face fills my vision as he looms over me. His skin is reddened with broken blood vessels over his wide, bulbous nose. His cheeks are more like jowls which wobble as he breathes in and out of his mouth. His hot breath stinks of liquor and cigarettes. I know I have to fight harder, or it wouldn't matter what I wanted for my first time, because it was going to be taken from me. His words rattle around in my head until I finally find myself furious at the realization all this is happening to me because my father can't stay away from the gaming tables. He was supposed to be my father. He'd sold me to this man. Rain stirs in my mind as fury burned hotter through my veins than whatever evil drug they'd forced on me. She's a strong wolf with an indomitable will. I feel her strength flood my body as my anger combines with her power to shift me into my wolf form, ruining my school uniform and making me impossible to hold down. Kill him! Rain growls in my mind. He wants to take what belongs to our mate. Rain wants me to go for his throat, but I only manage to get a mouthful of his shoulder as I surge up. I bite hard enough to taste blood and release him from my fangs quickly before the bloodlust can overtake my mind. I am a medium-sized female with long limbs and the coloring of a timber wolf. I have been told I will grow larger as I get older. I only hope I get the chance to reach full maturity. I have no idea what the consequences will be if I manage to kill him. I do know I don't want to be a murderer if I have the chance to simply get away. My long limbs give me speed over strength. I am fast. I am very fast. With my wolf senses, I can now tell the three men who have been holding me were only humans. The yelling beast who has assaulted me is a wolf, though I can't tell anything about his power. He could be weak, or my senses could be too dulled by his drugs, or a combination of both. I run for the door to the room. Luckily, the handle is easy to press down and the door swings open to let me sprint out into the hallway. My paws skid on the slick floor, sliding me into the opposite wall where my head strikes another door hard enough to make me dizzy. I can hear the men in the room scrambling to come after me. They might catch me if I don't keep running. I can barely hold on to my connection with Rain as my blood boils in my veins. I can tell my wolf wants nothing more than to bite, claw, tear the men chasing us. I push my body to race down the hallway. I stretch myself out with every leap to cover as much ground as possible. I have never run so fast before. A maid comes out of a room with her arms full of linens. She walks to her cart, and I can see the door to the room she's left out of is still cracked open. I don't think about the consequences or what could be waiting on the other side of the door. I just push my body through the crack and kick with my back legs to close it behind me. The poison in my system cut my connection to Rain, forcing me to release control of my wolf form and shifting me back into my human body as I lay panting on the floor of this strange room. I agreed to maid service. I'm not sure what service you're supposed to offer, but I know I didn't ask for it. I look around the room until I see a man standing in a hallway in nothing more than a low-slung towel about his middle. He is tall, even by werewolf standards, and broad in the shoulders. His dark hair curls around his forehead, his ears, down his neck. He looks as if he hasn't been to a barber in far too long. His blue eyes meet mine, and I lose all concept of time or place. "Who are you?" I heard him ask the question even as the men chasing me began to bang on his door, demanding to be let in to retrieve me. I'm tired. I'm confused. I'm burning from the inside out from their drugs, and I'm naked on a stranger's floor because my own father sold me to pay his debts to his bookie. Feeling hot tears leaking down my face, I managed to rasp out, "Please, help me." The next morning, "Who are you?" I came awake with a jerk, disoriented and aching all over. A heavy male body lay beside me. We were both naked except for the sheet covering our bodies. Embarrassment stained my skin bright red. I searched my memories of the night before, trying to figure out how I had gotten here while attempting to wrap the sheet around my body. I stopped when I realized I'd leave my bed partner totally nude. My skin felt too hot and too tight as I tried to work out how to get myself out of the situation. I wasn't used to being around naked men, even if I was a werewolf. We cared about propriety no matter what humans thought. I remembered myself saying over and over, "I'm your mate." I eased myself off the bed to look for clothes. I tried to be as quiet as I could so I didn't wake up the stranger. I didn't take the sheet to spare his decency, instead sacrificing my own modesty. I'd rather be caught naked than have to face a naked man I'd evidently seduced with all the subtlety of a bitch in heat. His scent was all over me, all over everything, really. Rich and masculine, every time I breathed, I felt as if I was being surrounded by the forest with hints of wood and a warm spice I couldn't name. I wanted to crawl back into bed beside him and never leave. My wolf, Rain, grumbled in my head, "We shouldn't leave. He is our mate." An open suitcase was on the dresser. I took a white button-down shirt out to cover myself. He was huge compared to me. His shirt was long enough on my body to cover me almost to my knees. I took a necktie to act as a belt around my waist. "We have to get home to Ethan. He's only 14, Rain. What if Patrick's debtors come for him?" "Our mate matters more. Can't you tell? He smells so good. He's the strongest alpha we've ever met." Shock had me turning to look at the male asleep behind me. He was an alpha? Rain groused louder in my head. "Of course he's an alpha. Take a deep breath. No one will dare hurt us with his scent marking us as his." Was he alpha to a whole pack? I looked at the collection of personal belongings littering the top of the dress beside the suitcase. I left his wallet, keys, and money clip alone. I was no thief. A gold card case had the initials TW on it. I found business cards inside, all saying they belonged to Tyler Wright of Moonrise Entertainment. House Wright was the alpha house of Moonrise Pack. They were the biggest werewolf pack in the USA in both members and resources. They could buy and sell any of the other packs without breaking their bank accounts. Every wolf knew them. Their alpha was an older male, older than my father even. I suppose this meant the man in the bed was related to them somehow, but he wasn't their leader, which was a relief. Knowing in part who he was helped shake off some of my fear, though. My hands wouldn't stay still, trembling from nerves as I prayed with all of my strength I would get away before he awoke. Rain continued to insist we stay with our mate. I took one of his cards so we could contact him later. We had to get to our brother. Ethan was only a child. I couldn't stop worrying over my fated mate being a real, fully grown alpha. He might even be the alpha of a sister pack to Houseright. I didn't know enough about Moonrise Pack to know their lower houses. I knew I had to leave before he woke up, though. An alpha would stop me from leaving until we were properly marked as each other's mate. His wolf instincts would insist I stay with him, no matter how worried I was about my baby brother. Ethan was too young to fend for himself, period, and I knew our father wouldn't protect him. Patrick, I refused to call him Dad after what he'd done to me, had proven he didn't care about his children when he sold his daughter to pay his gambling debt. I couldn't find a phone in the room other than the man's personal cell phone, which was locked. I left the room after checking the hallway was clear. I took the elevator down to the lobby level where I saw the word lust on the wall. I blushed again as I realized I was in a place famous for pleasure. As I got off the elevator, a woman in a skin-tight black dress came over to greet me, holding a tablet in her hands. May I be of service? I steadfastly refused to consider what sort of services she might offer. Yes, can you please call me a ride? Of course, she replied smoothly, pulling up a rideshare app on her screen. What's the address? I started to give her my home address only to stop when I realized it probably wasn't smart to go there. I gave my best friend Bella's address instead, as I knew I'd be safe with her family. We had only met our freshman year in high school, but Bella was more like a sister to me than a friend. On the ride to Bella, Rain fussed, I want to go back. We left our mate with neither of us marked. What if he thinks we're rejecting him? What if he thinks we aren't proud to belong to him? What if he thinks the sun no longer rises in the east or sets in the west, Rain? He'll get over it. Ethan is only a boy. He needs us to make sure he's safe because Patrick isn't going to protect him. Rain would get over leaving our mate this once. We'd have the rest of our lives to be with our mate. Ethan would only have a life at all if we took care of him. Bella surprised me by giving me my cell phone as soon as I came through the door. I found it with your backpack outside school. I went to my parents, but we didn't know what to do except call Patrick. He told us. She stopped talking and looked away from me. The look on her face made it clear Patrick hadn't said anything nice to her family when they'd called worried about me. It doesn't matter. Thank you, Bella. Thank you so, so much. I straightened my shoulders as I pulled up Ethan's name to call him. The phone only rang once before being answered. Ethan. Are you? It's about time you called. Patrick's voice stunned me into silence. I hope you're happy. They took your brother after you ran off. If you had just stayed the night with them, shown him a good time, you'd be home by now, and your brother wouldn't be missing. A good time? I repeated. My lips felt numb. They said you ran off to some alpha. Figures you'd find the only single alpha in the place. I knew you were a slut, just like your mother. Did you have fun with him? I hope you had fun. They're going to kill your brother if you don't get the money they want. If I don't get the money, how am I supposed to get them any money? Patrick snarled. That's your problem. I did my part. I gave them you. The debt became yours the second you ran out of the room. It's $500,000. They get it or they kill Ethan. I had never hated anyone as much as I hated Patrick in that moment. Rain growled inside my head with the desire to tear out his throat. He was no father. He wasn't even a man. You don't even deserve to be called an Omega. You deserve to die for refusing to help your own family. Ask your new alpha for help. What's his name anyway? Did you even bother to get it? Tyler Wright, I snapped. Tyler Wright? Patrick practically yelled. You're lying. Whatever. Call Mr. Tyler Wright to help you get Ethan back. The Wrights can afford it. Ethan is your son, I cried, refusing to even consider using my new mate for money. And I can have another one. I'll send you the details. Good fucking luck. He hung up before I could say any more, and my phone buzzed in my hand as messages began to come through. Bella asked, "Are you sure they've taken Ethan?" I opened the messages Patrick sent, reading them quickly as feelings of dread swept over me. The last message was a video clip. It's a video. I showed Bella the message. She took a deep breath before taking my phone to hold between us. Her hand was steadier than mine. Ice started to race through my veins as I saw Ethan bound to a chair. My shaking hands froze as I took in his bloody face. My body was an ice sculpture by the time I noted his battered face and taped mouth. A man in a mask explained Ethan was safe for a week. "Then we send you more of these little home movies. You'll get another 7 days to get the money or he dies. You'll get a video of that too. 2 weeks, Pat, or else." The message cut off and left us staring at each other, both too frozen with fear to speak. We were both crying when Bella's parents came home. They asked what was going on, and it took everything in me to answer. "I have to get $500,000 or my brother Ethan dies." 13 days later. "I'm nowhere near close," I groaned, rubbing my forehead as I leaned away from Bella's laptop. Bella admitted, "I don't know where else we can look for money. We've mortgaged all the properties available to you, Patrick, anything we had records of from your mom's estate and everything my parents can offer. Our house is already under mortgage. We only have 2 days left." Time was not on our side. "What about the banks?" "No, we've talked to every bank." "What about other lenders?" I was panicking, nearly hyperventilating. The kidnappers had been sending video clips of Ethan being beaten every day. "Yes, we talked to all of them except Nathan can't help. I can't even ask. House Lewis isn't involved in this. They don't need me dragging them down too. Besides, how would I explain this to him?" I took in a deep breath and let it out slowly. I was capable. I had always been good at finding a way to do whatever needed to be done. I had never used a boyfriend to fix my problems before. I wasn't going to start now. I'd found my fated mate. I hadn't told Nathan anything about finding Tyler. The only contact I'd had with my boyfriend had been to tell him we were over. He'd asked me why. Nathan had deserved a reason why. And all I could think to tell him was because we had to be. I supposed it said something about the strength of my character. Nathan accepted my response with no further questions. Bella gave me a worried look as she asked, "Have you considered asking Patrick again?" I realized now I'd made excuses for Patrick all my life. I had wanted to believe my father was a better man than he was, but now my eyes were wide open. I went to Bella's bedroom with my phone. I sat on her bed, looked around at all her things, and wished I could trade places with her. The room obviously belonged to a teenaged girl whose biggest interests were K-pop boy bands, clothes, and makeup. I couldn't even remember my room at home. All I saw when I closed my eyes was the mate I had left sleeping in a room at Lust. Patrick answered on the first ring, and I humbled myself to say, "Ethan deserves your help. Tell me what to do. Please." I felt myself getting sicker and sicker the more Patrick talked. His proposition to steal from my mate was more disgusting than the man who had tried to claim me as payment for Patrick's debt. Mates weren't supposed to betray each other. Ever. The moon goddess gave wolves a fated mate to be their other half, to complete them, to protect them and love them, and keep them from ever feeling all the negative feelings which overwhelmed a wolf alone. How could I blackmail my mate? I listened close as Patrick explained how it should go down. I had to admit he was clever for a worthless bastard. I found myself hopeful I would save my brother, but at what cost to myself? How could my mate ever forgive me for this kind of betrayal? I knew I already had a lot to answer for just because I had run out on Tyler Wright while he lay innocently sleeping at my side. I hadn't even left him my name. I saw the last clip of Ethan being beaten play again in my mind and realized I had no choice except to try Patrick's plan. I couldn't let my brother die. Once the call ended, I helped myself to a yellow sundress from Bella's closet. I put on light makeup before going downstairs to get my bag. I hugged Bella as if I'd never see her again. If this didn't work, if I didn't save Ethan, I wasn't sure if I would see her again. I called a taxi to take me to the Moonrise Entertainment corporate building. Tyler Wright was the CEO of his family's business enterprise, or at least that was what we had found out from the internet. I felt nauseous while thinking about my mate being the future alpha of House Wright. I'd be Luna of House Right. What did I know about being a Luna? The taxi driver asked me if he should wait when we got to the main office building. I told him no, with a shaky smile in answer to his skeptical look. I doubted I looked good enough to be meeting the CEO's secretary, much less Tyler himself, but I didn't have any choice. Patrick had given me to his debtors to settle his accounts, and I had run out on them. I didn't regret running, but I did regret playing a part in putting Ethan in danger. My brother was only a boy. He deserved a chance to grow up, no matter what the cost was to me myself. No, thank you, sir. I've got it from here. I got out of the cab and straightened my shoulders as if I had the confidence of a person with an appointment. Maybe if I played the part well enough, they'd believe me. I didn't know what floor Tyler was on. I figured the CEO would be close to the top, though. So I made for the elevator banks only to be stopped by a security guard. Patrick had warned me I might meet resistance getting into the building. It was easy to sound upset with the guard for holding me up. I was upset. If I didn't get a meeting with Tyler Wright, and if he didn't help me, my brother was going to die. Excuse me, I have to see Tyler Wright. Do you have an appointment? I don't need an appointment. I tried to put as much scorn into the words as I could. I called up the way the meanest girl in my school talked as an example. It must have worked because the guard dropped his hands from my arms even if he didn't move out of my way. Everyone needs an appointment, ma'am. Please give your name at the desk and they'll give you an elevator card. Just then, the elevator opened to let off a party of people. A pregnant woman came out with several men. She was laughing at something they were talking about, and one of the men courteously took her arm while another hovered his hand over her lower back to make sure she was able to step out of the lift without harm. Patrick had told me all I would have to do would be insist on seeing Tyler in person. Tyler didn't say anything to me about an elevator card. I bluffed the guard based on the fact I didn't see anyone leaving the elevator with a card in hand. He looked more annoyed with me, and I knew I would have to keep him off balance or I would get myself thrown out before I had a chance to ask for help. The security desk will call ahead for you, ma'am. Please go give them your name to announce you. Giving them my name wouldn't help at all. My memories of the night I had spent with Tyler were hazy at best. I couldn't recall the exact sound of his voice, but I remembered him asking me my name over and over while I insisted it didn't matter. The drug in my system was potent enough to strip away all my inhibitions. I'd writhed against him, under him, over him. My wolf hadn't fought back because she had recognized her mate in him. Names didn't mean anything to Rain. I felt anger flicker through me as Rain came closer to the surface. I knew my eyes were going to start glowing if I wasn't careful. Tyler is my mate, and I am going to see him. The guard stepped back and raised his hands cautiously. I guess Rain made a better impression than I did. I really can't let you get on the elevator without checking in. Mr. Wright hasn't announced a mate. Yet, ma'am, he added. I felt proud at the way the guard was nearly stuttering to appease me, but I didn't have time for pride or anything else. I had to save Ethan. Patrick had told me to insist on seeing Tyler himself. I was going to make sure I saw him in person until someone physically dragged me away from the building. I knew nothing about the drug I'd been dosed with, and Patrick claimed he didn't either. I only believed him because he had sounded irritated about it when I pressed him. Irritation was a sure sign of ignorance in Patrick's case. Patrick insisted Tyler would give me the money I wanted, all the money I wanted, if I was really his fated mate. All I had to do was let him get a whiff of me, he'd said, and I recalled how strongly Rain had reacted to being covered in his scent in the room at Lust. If I was so taken with his scent, surely he'd be taken with mine. I am Tyler Wright's mate, and I am pregnant. You will let me see him now, or you'll explain how you let his mate and his child die. Who knew it only took a few words to damn someone forever? 3 years later, happy third mating anniversary. Tyler didn't reply to me as I mind-linked him. I knew he heard me all the same. As my mate, he couldn't block my messages even if he didn't choose to reply to them. Please come home right after work today. I'm preparing a special surprise to celebrate the occasion. You'll love it, I promise. I could feel a spark of interest from Tyler's side of the bond, though he remained silent. Most females would have been at least a little concerned if their mate refused to respond to them, but I knew my situation wasn't ordinary. I was the offspring of an omega father from a lower pack who had blackmailed my alpha mate into accepting me by faking a pregnancy. The fact I hadn't known if I was pregnant or not at the time didn't matter. I had said I was pregnant. I wasn't. It was a lie. It was a lie I told for money. Money Tyler Wright had given me to pay off my father's gambling debts in order to save my younger brother from kidnappers. No one cared what the money was for, though. All anyone cared about was the lies I had told to get money from a mate who had been surprised to find me in the first place. Tyler could have loved me, I think, if I hadn't told my father's lie. I had been drugged on our first night together as mates. I didn't have clear memories of my first time making love. I thought Tyler had been gentle with me, generous, kind. It was hard for me to think of Tyler before I met him in his office. He'd been closer to a stone statue than a man as he listened to me ask him for money. His cold expression had never changed as he'd written me a check in the amount I named. Every experience since then had been the same, an exchange of something for something else. Tyler touched me when he needed release. Tyler spoke to me when he needed me to respond verbally to a question. Tyler gave me money to ensure I had no reason to talk to him. Our mating was colder than winter in the Arctic Circle. I twirled as I set the table for our mating anniversary dinner. My skirt flew out around my legs and I laughed like a girl again, though I was a college graduate with a degree in music theory. I felt as if I were dancing on air as I hummed a tune I had composed myself as part of my thesis. Tyler had not attended my graduation even though I had completed my studies on the dean's list. I would never accomplish enough to make Tyler proud of me. I would never be able to erase the grudge he held in his heart against me. And I was done trying. Placing the covers over the plates to keep the heat in, I moved to open the bottle of wine we would be sharing. The wine was the most luxurious part of the meal. Tyler preferred simple foods, which I had learned from his household staff rather than from him directly. All the years we had spent together felt as if they were melting away as I poured 2 glasses of the rich Malbec. Hearing the door shut, I picked up a glass in each hand and offered one to Tyler as he came into the room. "Happy anniversary!" He sneered at me before his eyes flickered to the bottle on the table. I knew he only took the glass from me because the wine was his favorite and it was too valuable to waste. "What is it you want now?" Tyler scorned my offer to sit at the table to share a meal with me. I wasn't surprised. I couldn't stop smiling, which was probably as confusing for him as it should have been for me. I had been given few reasons to smile during our mating. "I want to celebrate this anniversary as our last together." Swallowing more of the wine than was socially acceptable, Tyler drained his glass before reaching for the bottle to fill it again. I drained my glass and accepted the refill he offered with my smile intact. "Our last together? Is that what you're after? You want your own house? This mansion isn't good enough to share with me?" I shook my head negatively. Tyler was very good at provoking me. I finished my wine and placed my glass back onto the table. Tyler finished his as well, then he surprised me by grabbing my wrist and pulling me against his chest. We kissed hungrily for minutes, sharing the flavor of the wine between us as our tongues danced with one another in the way we had never bothered to do with our bodies. Gasping, I broke the kiss with a smile before heading for the stairs up to our bedroom. Tyler slept beside me every few nights to keep our wolves at bay. The mate bond demanded he have me close, while his personal hatred of me kept us worlds apart even when we shared the same bed. "What? Are you going to tell me you don't want this? You always want it on special occasions, so here I am." Tyler followed me up the stairs and I avoided looking back at his disgruntled face. I knew it would only upset me and possibly send Rain into a frenzy of need to please our mate. I almost felt sorry for his confusion. He really had no idea what was going on. "I do always want it, don't I? I'm sorry about that, Tyler. I can't imagine how hard this has been on you all these years. I suppose you were right at the start. I do want something. I want my own home. You're right about that, too. What you're wrong about, you're not going to have to deal with any more special occasions with me ever again." Tyler grabbed my arm to reel me back to him. All our physical encounters were fast and hard in order to get them over and done with as quick as possible. Originally, Tyler had been the one who wanted things that way, but now I wanted it over just as soon as he did. For a moment, I let myself give in to the feeling of my body crashing against his, drank in his wine-flavored kisses, and pretended it was passion we shared instead of alcohol, and I buried my fingers in his thick hair, which he never remembered to get cut. I could have loved him. We fell onto the bed. His weight was heavy on top of me, but I didn't mind. My body was strong and young, and I was in remarkable health for all I was the daughter of an Omega. I was an excellent match to his alpha physique, no matter whether he wanted to admit it or not. I pressed against his chest to get some distance between us, and Tyler raised up to take off his suit jacket. He opened the bedside table to grab a foil condom packet. I shook my head as I stopped him from opening the wrapper. "What now, Rachel? What is it?" Desire made him snappier than usual. "I promised you a surprise, Tyler. Don't you want it?" "Right now?" "No. I think you know what I want right now." For a moment, I thought about giving him what he wanted. One more time sharing his bed wouldn't hurt, would it? Except it always hurt. Every time he touched me as if he hated me, I died a little more inside. I was tired of dying. I wanted to live for a change. I, Rachel Flores, reject you, Tyler Wright, as my fated mate. The words held an ancient kind of magic in them which caused my inner wolf to fall quiet in my mind. I wasn't worried about Rain. She would wake up. She would wake up and she wouldn't yearn for this male any longer because our side of the bond was severed. "What?" Shock blanched Tyler's tanned face, his eyes going wide as his wolf tried to respond to his mate's sudden silence. "Surprise!" I crowed as I scooted from underneath him and straightened my clothing. "I am truly sorry I kept you for so long, Tyler. 3 years with me? That was wrong. I shouldn't have insisted on this mating all this time. I can't give you the time back, but I can give you your freedom now. All you have to do is finish the rejection on your side and you'll be rid of me forever. I hope you find happiness. I truly do." "You're rejecting me? What are you playing at?" "This isn't a game, Tyler. This is goodbye." Tyler remained on the bed as I gathered up my suitcase to make my way back to the stairs. I had packed only the very essentials. Everything he had ever given me, designer clothes, shoes, jewelry, I had left behind with him where it belonged. I took only as much as I had brought to our union in the beginning. I had the reputation of a gold digger, but I would be damned if I proved myself to be one. Tyler must have still been stunned on the bed as I left out the door. He didn't come after me, and I had already dismissed our staff for the day, so there was no one to send for me either. I got into a private car and closed my eyes as I focused on surviving the ride to my friend Bella's apartment. Bella was waiting in the doorway with a concerned expression when I got out of the car. I made it inside the door and into her arms before breaking down in tears. She held me as I wept, rocking me against her as she tried to hold me together as I was being broken apart by my emotions. "I can't believe she's pregnant. I'm so sorry, Rachel." "I can't believe she's pregnant. I'm so sorry, Rachel." I trembled from the force of my emotions. My tears washed away years' worth of stress and frustration and pain. I felt myself coming alive again as my sadness melted away to reveal hope for a different future for myself. No one had ever told me a mate could cause so much unhappiness to their supposed other half. Bella led me to the sofa where I collapsed into a corner, kicking off my shoes so I wouldn't dirty her cushions. I drew my knees up to my chest and wrapped my arms around my legs. I thought maybe if I could make myself small enough I could contain part of my feelings, or at least shrink them down to a more manageable size. I thought the model was just supposed to be a cover story for the events you couldn't attend. I rubbed my eyes with the heel of my hand as Bella's air quotes surprised a chuckle out of me as my tears dried. Tyler had made plenty of excuses over the years as to why his mate couldn't attend events with him. His disgust with me was enough we had never married in the human way. I was not featured in the papers as his mate. I hadn't cared. I didn't need publicity to solidify my knowledge of myself. Jenny Wayland was a human model of astonishing beauty. Tyler took her to all the functions he was expected to bring a companion. She looked as if she belonged with him in the photos taken by the press or paparazzi. A rumor had started a year ago saying Housewright was being slow to announce their future Luna because Alpha Tyler was mated to a human. Jenny the model made no effort to dissuade people from the belief she was the human mate Tyler was going to introduce. I thought so too, I sniffed, taking a tissue from the box on Bella's coffee table. I thought it was only dancing and drinking. I thought I'd know if he did more. Shouldn't I have felt it if my mate cheated? Bella gave me a worried frown. I don't know. I could ask my mother. You're the only one I know whose mate isn't completely obsessed with them. In the early days of everything, I would have broken down at a mention of how awful things were in my mate bond. Now I was used to it. I know. My mating was a mess. I pretended to be pregnant only for my mate to knock up his human girlfriend. Hello, irony. I have only myself to blame. I know Patrick needs to be blamed. If he hadn't gotten buried under his gambling debt, you wouldn't have needed to ask Tyler for ransom money. You did what you had to do. For Ethan, what choice did you have? Let your brother die? I shrugged while I wiped my face. We had gone over this same argument so many times, I was tired of it. I wanted to stop the conversation before it went any further. It doesn't matter. None of it does. Jenny showed me her pregnancy test. It was positive. She actually showed me the word pregnant on the screen right in the middle of the department store while I was shopping for Tyler's anniversary gift. That's insane. Who has that kind of luck? I can't even come up with the odds of her running into you. Bella made a good point. Had Jenny known where I would be? Tyler stepped out with several women on a regular basis. Models, singers, and even movie stars had appeared on his arm at parties or award ceremonies or fundraisers. I'd never appeared in public as his mate, but Tyler had taken out plenty of other females besides Jenny the model. The only courtesy he showed our mating was never using another wolf as his escort. He had spared me and my wolf, Rain, that one indignity at least, though I thought it was more likely his wolf, Wind, who'd refused to allow him to betray his mate more than any kindness on Tyler's part. Wind and Rain were going to be the ones to suffer from the rejection. Their mating had not been burdened by the betrayal Tyler and I shared. For our wolves, their mate bond was the gift it was meant to be from the moon goddess. Do you think Tyler told her? Did you leave a note for him? I shook my head. No, I didn't leave a note. I texted him. She may have seen his phone. She was with him then? All night? Bella sounded shocked, though I wasn't sure if it was because she couldn't believe Jenny the model would stay the night with my mate, or that Tyler betrayed his mate bond. My casual shrug in response was enough of an answer for her. What was I supposed to say? My mate felt only hatred and resentment for me. It doesn't matter now. None of it does. He can have as many models as he wants. I gave him my rejection. Rain is sleeping it off. She won't be happy, but she'll survive. She's strong. What about Wind? How did he take it? I shrugged again. I don't know. Well, what happened when Tyler said it back? Nothing, Bella asked, confusion clouding her expression. What do you mean, nothing? I've never seen a formal rejection, but I know it's supposed to be intense for both mates. No, Tyler didn't say it back. He'll do it when he's ready. A formal rejection was a serious mark of shame for a wolf. I wasn't surprised Bella knew little about the specifics of the act. Most wolves would never even say the word rejection, much less ask how to go about performing one. Yes, I went to Alpha Wright and asked for his help to be certain I did everything the proper way. I didn't want to mess it up. I want to spare us both what pain I can from here on out. Bella reached across the couch to squeeze my arm. Her friendship was more than I deserved. I was lucky to have her in my life. He was really happy to help, too. Alpha Wright? Yes, I murmured, thinking back to my meeting with Tyler's father. He has hated Tyler mating me from the beginning. It's bad enough Tyler came from an Omega mating, but to have a mate of his own from an Omega family? His pride couldn't stand it. He told me we had to exchange the words, then we'll have to break the seal with a blood exchange. Alpha Wright has only ever looked out for Housewright. He's the reason Tyler never announced you as his mate. I disagreed immediately. No. Tyler never formally announced our mating or married me in the human ways because I betrayed him. I tricked him into our mating for his money. Alpha Wright wouldn't have had to tell him to be quiet about me. Who said he had to tell him? Maybe he just wanted to? Rachel rolled her eyes and startled another laugh out of me. She wasn't wrong. I noticed her touching her neck and found myself enthralled with her mating mark. Bella had found her mate Jack recently. Theirs was a whirlwind mating, but most were when it came to fated mates. She was still in the stage where everything was lust and love and building a life together. Jack was looking for them a place to share since both lived in apartments too small to share comfortably. I would have to get myself together quickly so I could find a place of my own before Bella moved in with Jack. Busying myself with my phone, I sent a text to Tyler asking him to finish his side of the rejection. I could still feel him in my mind as a buzzing nuisance. Tyler, please finish your side of the rejection ritual. I'll meet you wherever you choose to do the blood exchange. No reply came, and I was getting a headache from the partially severed bond. I called his number for the first time in months, only to go directly to voicemail. Tyler, I need you to accept the rejection. I am getting a headache, and I doubt you feel much better. Reject me then, meet me to do the exchange, and that's it. You'll never have to see me again. Guaranteed. Bella looked at me in confusion as the phone cut off on me. I don't know. All he needs to do is accept the rejection, swap a little blood, and it's over. He's never wanted to be with me. Why isn't he jumping at this chance? I don't know, Rachel. Maybe he's thinking, or he's busy. I caught the way Bella looked away from me before pointing out Tyler could be busy, and it occurred to me he might be with her. Jenny. Bella nodded, biting her lip and covering her mate mark with her hand as if she wanted to spare me the pain of seeing it. I went back to my phone with a new wave of fury. He could celebrate with his model after he rejected me. I deserved my rejection. Dialing Tyler again, I put the phone on speaker so Bella could hear only for the call to cut off with a message from the phone company. We're sorry, but your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check your number and make your call again. I stared at the phone in shock. I had called that number. It was his personal line. I hit his contact name again only to get the same message. I let out a sound of pure rage as I realized what it had to mean. He blocked me. What a filthy dog. I absolutely cannot get over Tyler blocking your calls. Does he think the mate bond will break on its own? Focusing on keeping my hands steady, I traced the shape of my eyelid. Bella had given me free rein in her makeup drawer. She was always the bold one, though. She didn't really need cosmetics. I had spent the night alternating emotions. Bella and I ate too much junk food while complaining about men. We had decided I would be single forever sometime between the last of the potato chips and the first carton of ice cream. I don't know what he's thinking, I answered her honestly. It isn't like I can hear his thoughts. I can barely feel him outside the headache he's given me. Was that what Tyler wanted to do? Make me miserable? Physically wear me down after all the years of mentally breaking me? I finished my eyes and put on a tinted lip gloss. I didn't want to go too heavy with my makeup when this job interview was already a long shot for me. Bella worked at a fine dining restaurant with live entertainment called Blue Diamond. Their pianist had ran off with one of their waitresses after discovering they were fated mates. You look great. Stop worrying. You are on the dean's list every semester and you have a degree in music. No one will be able to believe you're serious about working at the restaurant. I smiled, though. I knew it didn't reach my eyes. Bella always knew what to say to make me feel better. I was overqualified, but I had never had a full-time job. There was a good chance I would be rejected based on lack of practical experience. Are you sure you're okay going on in for the interview alone? I could call Jack. Tell him we could meet for dinner tonight instead. No, don't do that, I protested. I'll be fine on my own, and you'll be coming in to start your shift in a few hours anyway. It isn't as if the place can function without best pastry chef, right? Right? Bella laughed. Well, I'm off. See you in a few hours, and good luck. I spent some time trying to get Tyler to respond to me either through MindLink or messages. He had blocked me from sending voicemail or text, so I had resorted to email. I was sure the only reason he hadn't blocked me on his email was a fear I would start messaging his corporate account and risk his assistant seeing my letters. If Tyler thought I was going to let him torment me with a half-severed bond forever, he was dead wrong. I had endured 3 years of being his unwanted mate. I had learned to cook his favorite meals, sated him in his bed even when he didn't say so much as a single kind word to me, and tolerated him going around with other women along with 100 other indignities along the way. I would admit Tyler had a right to be angry with me, but I had my own cause to resent him too. Neither of us had been happy together. I chose to take the bus to Blue Diamond. My simple pencil skirt and blouse suited my slim figure. I'd gone with a French twist for my hair. My makeup gave me a healthy glow. I felt confident as I caught a few passengers giving me approving looks. It had been an awfully long time since I had last felt pretty. Entering the restaurant, I kept my hand on my purse to avoid fidgeting. The hostess greeted me and directed me to the piano for my interview. I settled on the bench, adjusting my posture before playing a quick scale. "You look at home there." I was startled by the deep voice and turned with my hands hanging above the keys. I'm sorry, I was testing the balance. It's well-tuned, a fine instrument." "Yes," the man agreed, smiling at me in amusement. "I do tend to take care of my instruments. I wouldn't be a very good businessman if I couldn't do that much, right? I'm Roy, club owner and manager. Bella said your name was Rachel?" "Rachel Flores. I'm pleased to meet you, Roy. Thank you so much for this opportunity." We shook hands, and I was surprised to find his grip firm and sure. He treated me as if I were a worthy applicant. I hoped he would be serious about the job. Shuffling through the music on the stand, Roy selected a piece. "Here, this is a favorite of our patrons. Play as much as you feel confident about, and we'll talk." I scanned the page once before playing. The rhythm was familiar, and the tune only of a medium level of difficulty. I had no problem completing the 2 pages Roy had placed in front of me. "I can keep playing?" Roy shook his head, chuckling. "No need. I thought Bella might have been exaggerating when she said you had a degree in music. She wasn't, though, was she?" "No. But you want to work here? As a piano accompaniment in a restaurant?" "Yes." We were both smiling as I met his questions with only one-word answers. I had always been a bit shy. I also didn't think Roy needed to know about my personal business. "Well then, welcome aboard, Rachel Flores. Can you start tomorrow?" I nodded at him. "I can. Do you have a preferred dress?" "White shirt and black trousers or skirts. You're welcome to wear plain black shoes, either flats or a small heel. Is my current outfit okay?" "Absolutely. So tomorrow? Would you be able to do 4 p.m. to midnight? I'd need you to arrive at 3:30 p.m. to go through some practice runs." I agreed and took copies of the music back to Bella's with me. I wanted to do my best, even if I was only the accompaniment to the singer. My evening went fast, far faster than I expected. Bella squealed when I told her I got the job. She insisted I meet her at Blue Diamond for a drink after her shift. I hesitated to accept since a lot of Tyler's social circle came there, but Bella was quick to point out I would soon be a fixture at the restaurant. Why not celebrate my first real job with my new coworkers? I didn't bother to change, feeling comfortable enough to settle at the bar to wait on Bella. I ordered a martini while I waited. "You." I jerked at the furious hiss behind me. "What?" Turning around, I saw none other than Jenny the model. I knew Tyler and his friends liked Blue Dime, but to see Jenny there on the day I got hired? What kind of luck did I have? "What are you doing here? Are you stalking me?" I blinked at her in complete confusion. "Well, did you follow me here or what?" "How would I have followed you here? I was here before you." "Don't be smart with me. You could have been tracking my phone or reading Tyler's messages or hacking his accounts or anything." I held back until I realized she was going to keep on nagging me unless I cut her off. "Why would I hack my mate's account to find out anything about his mistress? Do you really think you're that interesting to me?" Jenny drew in a shocked breath, as if I had slapped her, and snapped. "I am not his mistress. You're barely even his mate. He hates you." My head hurt too much from the lingering mate bond and dealing with this stupid woman's accusations. I was finished talking to her. "Admitting I'm his mate means you're interfering in an established relationship, which means you are a mistress at best." Jenny glared at me. "He told me all about you. He said you blackmailed him for money, and that's the only reason he's with you. If I'm a mistress, then you're a whore." I lost control of myself for a moment. Rain rose inside me, prepared to fight, and I countered her desire to reach out with our claws in favor of throwing the martini into Jenny's face. I said, "I'm his mate by right of the moon goddess. You and your child should be thankful I'm not taking him before Pack Court to demand my portion of his assets. Would you be so proud if I left him without his money? You wouldn't dare sue him. In our court, I am entitled to compensation from my fated mate." "You're not his wife. You aren't entitled to anything." "I'm his fated mate, you stupid cow," I snapped, completely done with her. "No human law compares. I'm entitled to half of everything he has down to his soul. Is that what you're after? My soul?" Tyler's voice shocked me the same as a martini to the face. I whirled towards him. "No, I just want my rejection." "What about half of everything?" I shook my head no, and Tyler grabbed my wrist, jerking me off my stool. He was angry. A blind human could tell he was angry. "Tell me the truth." "I told you the truth," I spat, trying to twist my arm free of his grasp. "I just want my rejection. I've had enough of being mated to you. I'll let you go, when and if I want." "You'll let her go right now," Bella snapped from behind Tyler, moving between us to break his cruel grip on my arm. "We're leaving." I was in an emotional daze as Bella escorted me out. She'd been told someone was harassing me while she was straightening up the kitchen. I was grateful for her intervention. Why wouldn't Tyler just reject me already? What did he want from me? Tyler's POV. What did she mean when she said, "you and your child"? What was she talking about? I missed the beginning, but I had heard enough to know Rachel thought Jenny was pregnant. Jenny blotted her face with a linen napkin the bartender offered her. She was looking everywhere but at me. I knew her well enough to know she was trying to find a way to get out of the situation sooner rather than later. Unlike with Rachel, I didn't take Jenny's arm. I only held my hand up to stop her from skirting me to scuttle off into the crowd. "Don't even try it, Jenny. What did you do?" My wolf, Wind, was unnaturally close to the front of my mind, and I couldn't help the growl he pushed into my words. If Wind had his way, we would turn right in the middle of Blue Diamond and tear the answers out of Jenny with our teeth. "What did you say to my mate?" Wind asked, forcing the words out through my clenched teeth as I fought for control of my mind. Werewolves were tolerated in human society because we controlled ourselves. House Wright didn't need their heir to lose his humanity in the middle of a restaurant. It would be even worse after my mate assaulted a human model where paparazzi could get photos of her dripping martini from her face. We were going to bring the kind of attention to Moonrise Pack my father didn't like. "Tyler," Jenny whined, "you're scaring me." I snorted at the ridiculousness of her statement. Jenny Wayland wasn't afraid of anything except wrinkles and cellulite. She got Botox injections for the first and starved herself to avoid the second. I could have shifted into my lichen form, a form very few humans knew about, without making her blink. "Talk, Jenny, now." "I wanted her to go away, okay? You hate her. Everyone knows you hate her. You wouldn't leave her, though, because of whatever stupid reason you have, so I made her see what you were missing being stuck with her." That sounded like Jenny, entitled and imperious. "And what am I missing?" "The chance to have a real life with me. The chance to have a family," Jenny coaxed, giving me a coquettish look as she tilted her face just so. Jenny was exceptionally good at posing. She lived up to her status as a top model, and the camera did love her even if I never could. "Damnable mate bond," I thought to myself before dropping my hand to my side. "You're not interested in starting a family, Jenny. You told her you were pregnant?" Jenny gave me a glare which would have scorched earth if she weren't human. She answered cautiously, "Yes. Why?" Wind rumbled in my head, practically foaming at the mouth to tear her apart. He couldn't tolerate the idea of Rain thinking he had betrayed her for even a second. His devotion to Rachel's wolf was so deep, I couldn't even attempt to bed another female. So why would she believe you? Rachel had used a fake pregnancy to enter my life. I wondered if the irony had occurred to her. I showed her a positive pregnancy test. Jenny shrugged, looking away from me as she schooled her expression into one of indifference. "Where did you get a positive pregnancy test?" "They sell them on the internet. For jokes, it's not my fault she's stupid enough to believe it. She didn't even try to fight for you either. So it's good, right?" We're good? I did the right thing for us to have a future together. Humans faked pregnancy tests for the purpose of humor? Who knew? They really were ridiculous. I pinched my nose and sighed from the headache I had been sporting since Rachel's rejection. No, Jenny. Her face had paled as I stepped closer to her, close enough for her to see the glow in my eyes from how close to the surface wind was pushing. No female will ever share my bed except my mate. Do you understand? I understand, she said, unspoken emotions coloring her words and her expression. I used one finger under her chin to tilt her face back to mine as I whispered to her, I would kill you, Jenny. I wouldn't be able to stop myself. Her eyes remained fixed on mine until a tear tracked down her cheek. I wiped it away with my knuckle before stepping back. It's time for you to leave. Jenny nodded before sliding around me, scurrying away into the crowd with more speed than skill. I drummed my fingers on the bar as I tried to find a way to salvage my evening. The headache crashing through my skull was endless. I could feel every beat of my heart in my temples. I was on edge enough to have me gnashing my teeth. My wolf wind felt almost rabid in my mind. Whiskey. House well. Neat. I looked over at my friend Dylan Roberts with a wry grin which he returned. Is that for me or for you? I asked. Dylan pushed the tumbler at me before ordering, Another, please. It seems we're both in need of a whiskey right now. I'm willing to buy since you seem to have run out of all your stock and patience. I swallowed the drink in one gulp. They served only the best at Blue Diamond, and I found myself feeling dizzy despite my constitution as an alpha. They serve this to humans? I rasped. My voice was a low grumble. I could hardly force the words out of my burning throat. No, Dylan said, grinning. Blue Diamond's house well drinks are all for our kind. Good stuff, right? I accepted a second tumbler with a cautionary nod. I would drink this one much slower. The last thing I needed was to get too drunk to hold my human form. I didn't want to know what would happen if Wind gained control of my body following our mate's rejection. Besides, I hadn't been drunk in public since I was a teenager. What was Dylan thinking? I think I saw your Rachel leaving. Pretty blonde in a black skirt and white blouse. Fire in her eyes. The last time I saw her, she looked pale as a ghost and like she seriously needed a sandwich. Apparently, she's come into her own since then. Wow. Glaring at Dylan, I took another deep drink of my whiskey. Shut up. What? It was her, right? I've only seen her twice, so I'm not positive. The first time was at your office when she was bringing you lunch or something. I don't know. You threw the whole bowl into the trash, and she nearly ran to the elevator to get away from you. I didn't even get a good scent off her. She was so fast. I didn't remember the time he was talking about. Rachel had made me lunch every day for the first few months of our mating. I thought it was because of some stupid tradition from her home pack. Who knew? It wasn't as if we chatted about our childhoods with one another after starting out our life together because of drugs and lies. Yes, that was Rachel. Blue Diamond was closing, but Dylan and I both were generous enough patrons for them to let us remain at the bar, sharing well whiskey as we got progressively more drunk. Dylan knew the liquor would help with my headache, right? That was why we were drinking? Or was it because he knew I didn't want to turn into a rampaging lichen and destroy a good portion of downtown? I lost my grip on my reasons for anything except savoring my next sip of whiskey, and only regained some of my senses as Dylan was assisting my driver, Adam, to help me into my car. Do you think she's doing this because she's evil? Adam shielded my head as he helped me into the back of the car. He was so considerate. No, sir, I do not think she's evil. Sir, would you like to take Master Dylan to his home first, or bring him along with us? Take him home. I decided immediately, wind grumbling in my mind, loud enough for me to voice his concerns regarding how Dylan noticed our mate earlier. I don't want him looking at our Rachel. She's still ours. I don't accept her rejection. She's going to come home. She just wants to torture me first. And you deserve it, Dylan yelled out, laughing at me as if I had told him the funniest joke he had ever heard. I nodded along with him, even though nothing felt funny to me. I doubted I would ever laugh again. I did. I do. I think. I'm going to get her back. I bought her. She has to come back. She owes me. Adam drove to Dylan's apartment in the city and helped him inside while I tried to unscramble my thoughts. I just have to figure out what she wants. Everything is an exchange with Rachel. She just wants something new. Wind only piped up in my head enough to insist I remember to get his mate back. Then I was alone with my aching head and drunken thoughts until my driver settled me into my bed. I fell asleep positive I would discover what Rachel wanted in the morning. I would get my mate back no matter what the cost. I'd bought her once. I could do it again. Rachel's POV. My head was pounding so hard I didn't notice my phone vibrating for a full minute despite it being right beside my hand. "Hello?" I answered, confusion coloring my tone as I saw Tyler's housekeeper was calling me. "Magda, has something happened?" I had left instructions with the house staff to report directly to Master Tyler as I would no longer be in residence. They didn't need to know the particulars of why I was gone. All of them were well-trained as house servants who tended to ensure their discretion matched their ability to avoid asking questions not related to their work. Work hard and silently was Tyler Wright's preference. "Madam Rachel, we have no hangover cure here. I left the recipe with all the other house favorites. It's in the binder in the kitchen drawer beside the pantry." No, I have never made it, Madam Rachel." Magda was a sweet older woman. She reminded me of what a mother was meant to be like, and I found myself unable to be sharp with her. Gentling my tone, I said, "Can you get the binder, Magda?" I would coach her through making the cure this first time. I had a feeling Tyler was on the verge of driving the whole staff insane after a night of drinking. Alpha status aside, he acted worse than a baby when he was sick or in pain. "I can get it. I have it now." I could hear her flipping pages until she was able to find the right recipe. She made a sound of distress as a crashing noise echoed on her side of the line. "Magda?" "Madam, there are many steps to this. Master Tyler is not well. Will you please?" "Get over here. Now." I straightened in response to the sound of Tyler's angry voice. He was pissed off. In the past, I had handmade his hangover cure with fresh herbs from my home garden or bought hand-picked from the farmer's market. I had ground everything with my own 2 hands, and he had acted as if it was a worthless drink to be slung back when necessary. Now he wanted to order me home to make it for him? I didn't think so. "No, Tyler, I don't need to come to the house for a hangover remedy. Yours is the best, and I need one. You have to come make it." "No, Tyler, I don't." No, that is why I left the recipe there. I felt as if I were explaining this to an angry child rather than an angry, rejected mate. Tyler had scared me when he was angry in the past. Now all I felt was annoyance. He was trying to boss me around as if I were his housekeeper rather than Magda. "Didn't you forget something here?" "Yes," I snapped. "My rejection. Are you offering it to me this morning?" "I'll be glad to come brew you a cup of hangover tea in exchange for your side of the rejection ceremony." "What about the IOU for $500,000 you gave me 3 years ago?" I shut my mouth abruptly at the reminder. Tyler could be a bastard when angry or hurting, too. I always forgot how mean he got until the next hangover was on him. I supposed my mind tried to shield me from his cruelty by blocking his behavior out from one time to the next. Selective amnesia had been the best way for me to cope with the last 3 years of my life. Clearing my throat, I tried to regain control of the conversation. "I can talk Magda through making it over the phone. I don't do anything special or extra, Tyler. Your debt is still waiting here, along with my headache. You either come, make my remedy, or prove my father right. You slept with me for money the same as any street whore, and you have no intention of ever repaying the debt." I remembered standing in front of Tyler and his father 3 years previously. My brother Ethan had been only hours away from being killed. My only chance to save him was to get my newfound mate to pay off the gambling debts our father had racked up. I hadn't wanted to be in their offices asking for money. All I had wanted was to save my little brother from certain death. John Wright had looked down his nose at me with so much contempt I had wanted to crawl away to hide in a hole. All my usual enthusiasm for life had been crushed underneath his disdain. I had thought my mate was reacting to his father's mood. Tyler had proven me wrong in the next weeks after he'd given me the check I'd asked for to save Ethan. I remembered the first weeks of our mating vividly. Tyler rarely spoke to me except to instruct me how to do something for him to make him happy. We had sex every night, no matter whether it hurt me or I wanted to be left alone. Tyler insisted I give him my body in exchange for the IOU I had written out for the $500,000 ransom money. I gave in to him since I felt I owed him. I still owed him, and this was his way of reminding me I always would owe him until I paid him back all $500,000 of those dollars. I'll be there soon. Sir, he spat at me from his side of the line. What? I asked, trying to force away the sense of dread coming over me at the thought of going back to the house I'd spent 3 years trying to escape. If you're going to insist you want a rejection, you can call me sir when you address me. I require it from all my employees. I gasped in a combination of shock and anger. You think I'm going to be your employee? I know I paid you $500,000, and you haven't come close to working it off. You're my highest paid employee right now. Get here soon. Yes, sir, I said to him before hanging up the phone. I thought if he gave me one more order, I would wind up murdering him on my arrival to the house. Straightening my appearance before gathering my handbag, I nodded at my reflection before heading out to the living room. I would need to tell Bella where I was going. I had my first day of work looming ahead of me, only after dealing with Tyler. I will see you at work tonight. I have a change of clothes with me just in case. I need to go fix a hangover cure. Bella looked away from her show, tears streaming down her face. What? Why can't you make it here? It isn't for me. Why are you crying? Bella took a tissue from the box on the table and wiped at her face. She pointed to the screen, and I suppressed a groan. She put way too much energy into her television shows. Did the girl choose the vampire or the werewolf? I tried to inject some humor into my tone. It wasn't Bella's fault I was in a bad mood or over my head in debt to Tyler. Neither, Bella wailed. She took a potion which put her into a sleep for 100 years. I wished I could take something to sleep for 100 years. Knowing my luck, Tyler Wright would just take the same potion, so he would be there to torment me when I woke up. That's terrible. Are you going to be okay? I could try to get back as soon as I finished the tea. I wanted her to say she needed me to come home as soon as possible. Bella would be the perfect excuse to get away from Tyler quickly. Oh, I'll be okay. I have 7 more episodes in this season. If you're not making hangover tea here, where are you going? I'm going to make it for the filthy dog who is now insisting I call him sir, as I am his employee if I'm not his mate. Bella screeched in outrage. You should spike it with something awful. It would serve him right for being such a filthy doggy. I grinned at her reaction. I knew I could count on Bella understanding. See you at work tonight. I'm going to go treat Sir Filthy Doggy. Rachel's POV. Magda, please meet me in the kitchen, I called as I entered the house. I was going to make sure the housekeeper knew how to make the hangover cure as well as I could, so this never happened again. Tyler was not going to turn me into a maid because he couldn't force me to continue being his mate. I lined up all the fresh ingredients on the counter with my mortar and pestle. I would grind everything by hand. I would delay seeing Tyler as long as I could, using the hangover tea as my excuse along the way. I'd been smart enough to stop by a fresh market on the way over in order to ensure I had all the fresh ingredients to hand. The last thing I needed was to get to the house, only to have to turn around to run to the store. Magda asked questions quietly as I crushed the leaves and ground the fresh herbs. She handed me a strainer ball, which I packed with the ingredients before closing tightly. Now we need to make sure the water is just under boiling. If it is still at a rolling boil, it will be too hot and will scorch the ingredients, so the cure won't work as well. I poured the water over the strainer ball and set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes. 5 minutes to steep seems to be perfect for Master Tyler. It can be longer if the ingredients aren't fresh. When winter comes, you'll want to let it sit longer. Magda made notes in a pad she carried with her. She claimed writing things down by hand was easier for her than trying to use a device. I didn't press the issue because of her grandmotherly demeanor. You really should start using a smartphone, Magda. There are apps for everything these days. I hated to think I was adding more to her workload, but I had to leave Tyler. I'd barely survived the last 3 years with him. That I wouldn't even be a shadow of myself after any more years passed. You worry too much, Madam Rachel. No, I murmured. I don't worry nearly enough. I'll take this up to Tyler. Feel free to get on with your chores, Magda. I had stalled long enough making the remedy. Squaring my shoulders, I settled everything onto a bed tray and walked it to Tyler personally. It was as if I had gone back in time. Every action was the same I had made before. I firmed my jaw as I realized I didn't have to step back into the role he wanted me in. I would deliver his tea, but I wouldn't pretend I was doing it out of anything other than obligation. Your tea, sir? I placed the tray over his lap and stepped back, offering him a short nod before I made to leave. That's it? I paused and asked, Excuse me, sir? A single cup of tea and you're leaving? You know I might need more. His tone was cold enough to freeze the scalding hot tea I had brewed for him. I know I was asked to come here to make a hangover cure. I made it. I went so far as to teach your maid how to make it. If you need more, you can call Magda or your mistress. I don't care either way. I realized I was telling the truth as the words left my mouth. I really did not care if Tyler Wright called his maid or his mistress to comfort him. I had made my choice when I had rejected my alpha mate. You're a very understanding mate if you don't care if I call another woman. I rejected you, remember? Who you call is no longer my business. I haven't accepted your rejection, Tyler insisted, taking a sip of his tea. That means everything I do remains your business until I reject you, too. No one had ever warned me it would be hard to reject my mate. Most wolves were overjoyed to find their other half. I doubted any wolf would want to reject their mate without very serious reasons. Grinding my teeth together, I gritted out, So hurry up and reject me, why don't you? You have to want to end this as much as I do. I want you to get in this bed right now and see to my needs. Why don't you? Seriously. I was stunned by his outburst. Tyler never yelled at me when he had a headache. I must be angering him very much for him to shout. No, I stated firmly, taking my phone out. I'm going to call up Jenny. I'm sure she'll come here to brew you more tea or get into your bed to see to any needs you have, sir. I was scrolling through my contacts when my phone was jerked out of my hands. I hadn't even heard Tyler get out of bed. I always forgot how imposing he was until he towered over me, all muscles and raw power barely held in check by his iron will. Tyler was an alpha among alphas. I wished I didn't find him attractive. Stop this, he shouted, shaking my phone at me before tossing it toward the door. I'm sick of this game you're playing. What do you want? Tyler thought I was playing a game with him? What could I possibly have to gain from a game? He wasn't the kind of male who would let a woman beat him in a game. I'm not playing any game. Don't test me, Rachel. I am not a patient man. Tell me what you want so we can get on with our lives. I reeled in my feelings as I realized I was the calmer of the two of us. Searching Tyler's face, I pushed him with a smile. Well, if this is a game, how about you give me what I said I wanted? Everything you have. Sign over Moonrise Entertainment to me. I knew John Wright. Tyler's father had expressed more than once his worst nightmare was to lose their family business to me. My father-in-law called me a gold digger, even though I had asked for nothing for myself since mating with Tyler. Very funny, Tyler snapped. Be serious. What do you really want? I want you to reject me, sever the mate bond, finish the ceremony. Reject, reject, reject! Can you say anything else? Tyler grabbed my arm above my elbow and shook me. In the past, I would have been afraid he might try to get more physical with me. I was a stronger woman now, though. I wasn't going to be pushed back into his shadow. Twisting free of his grip, I snapped. I've said plenty. You just don't listen. What about you, Tyler? Do you really want me back here in your bed? You couldn't have been too satisfied if your mistress is having your love child. Or is that what you want? To humiliate me? Make me raise another woman's baby? Tyler walked away from me to sit back on the bed. He rubbed his temples with his fingers, looking pained. I almost pitied him for the tortured expression on his face. I have to go out of town. I have business to do with my father. You will meet me back here when I return, and we will talk about this then. Understand? I understood I was being given a reprieve. I would take all the space I could get from Tyler. Even if I only got a few days out of his business trip, those days would give me time to settle into my life, away from him. "Yes, sir." I saluted him with a grin, though my efforts were wasted as he didn't look up at me. I turned to leave, and he asked something too quietly for me to be certain I understood. "What?" Turning to face him, Tyler's eyes met mine as he asked again, "Do you want me to bring you chocolates? You ate them the last time I brought them back for you." What a bizarre turn his mind had taken. I shook my head no and said, "No, thank you." He nodded and got himself back into bed while I collected my phone from the floor where he'd tossed it. Luckily, it wasn't damaged. I might not have left so peacefully if he had broken my phone. I left the house quickly as my phone began to ring with my father's number showing. I answered it only when I was far enough away Magda wouldn't be able to overhear. "Patrick, how can I help you?" Had my father heard about me rejecting Tyler? Patrick tended to always be in the know when it came to gossip. "I need money for Ethan's college tuition. Send me a check. 100 grand should cover it." I was sick of men telling me what to do. First, Ethan hasn't chosen a college yet, so he has no way of knowing how much his tuition will cost. Second, he's applied for scholarships everywhere he has applied. I helped him with them. There is no way he will need $100,000 for a school year. Third, if Ethan needs money, I will give it to him directly. Do you understand? Patrick roared from his side of the line, "You ungrateful bitch! You think because you made it in Alpha, you can push your old Omega father aside? You can't get rid of me just like that. I'm your father. I'll always be your father. You owe me." "I don't owe you anything. Don't call me again." I cut off the call and turned off my ringer because I was done for the day. I was going to go to my first day of work with my head held high. All these men in my life could just go somewhere else for their needs. I was done catering to them. Rachel's POV, 7 days later. Freedom suited me. I smiled all the time now, and I took extra care with my appearance because I wanted to, not for any other reason. If someone complimented me, I thanked them, and I knew they were being honest, because for the first time in my life I was only myself. Before I had mated Tyler right, I had been Patrick Flores's daughter. People who complimented me in my youth either did it out of pity because they knew my father and his nasty habits, or they knew my mother had died young, leaving me to practically raise my younger brother alone. After I had mated Tyler right, I had been hidden away except to the closest of family. If any compliments came from those people, they were only in an attempt to gain favor with Tyler. Had I ever been free before rejecting my mate? I honestly didn't know. My life felt completely new. The whole world felt wide open to me. I spent my days composing music again out of joy rather than desperation, and my nights I worked as the piano accompaniment to the singer at Blue Diamond. Being employed suited me. Being single suited me. Being alone suited me. My face hurt from smiling, though I was driving Bella insane with my humming as I danced around her place, straightening, tidying, and fighting boredom. I went for a walk for the fresh air as much as to give Bella a break. I needed to pick up a few things from the market anyway. Who knew shopping could be fun? Taking a handbasket at the local bodega, I wandered the aisles with the intention to browse more than buy. I knew what I needed without a list, and that by itself was almost magical. As the mistress of Tyler Wright's mansion, I had been expected to keep lists of running needs for the household. Cleaning supplies, cooking supplies, groceries, groundskeeping materials, and on and on. I had lived the last 3 years of my life making lists. I was reveling in my freedom when a young woman slammed into me, knocking my basket to the floor. I knelt immediately to pick up the items spilled. "Watch out, stupid bitch," the girl snapped, and I realized I recognized her. She was Charlotte Wright, Tyler's stepsister. A week ago, I would have apologized. I would have dropped my head and focused on my feet to avoid pissing her off. "What did you say to me?" I asked, grabbing her arm before she could walk away. "I said you should watch out because you're a stupid bitch." Charlotte smirked at me until she realized I wasn't letting go of her arm. I was stronger than her. I realized it at the same time she did. Rain stirred in my mind, coming awake with a hunger for action. My wolf had not been happy about leaving our mate. She loved when I let her come forward to stretch outside my mind, though, and I was free to let her. Now I didn't have to worry about Tyler's reactions. My eyes shifted to Rain's golden gaze and my voice dropped a few octaves as Rain spoke through me. "The next time you call me a bitch, I'll tear out your tongue. Apologize or I'll send you away with a far less pretty face." Charlotte whispered at me, "I'm sorry." "Okay, I am sorry. Ma'am, mistress." I let go of her arm as I pushed Rain back down, taking control of my body once more. Charlotte probably would have stammered apologies for minutes more if I let her. Who knew she was all bark and no bite? "Ma'am is fine. After all, your brother has a mistress, but she certainly isn't me. You're forgiven. Have a nice day, Charlotte." Charlotte left her items before she sprinted to the front of the store. I didn't watch her leave because I realized I wasn't interested in her or even mildly worried about how she reacted to me. I was a free woman and Rain was a free wolf. We deserved to be treated with respect. Looking around at the shelves, I noticed I was in the feminine hygiene aisle. I held back a snicker as I wondered if Charlotte was feeling hormonal. I noticed my brand of tampons with a twinge of surprise. I hadn't needed any as my cycle hadn't started. I was a little late. My period was rarely irregular, but I had rejected my mate and my wolf had gone into hibernation for a while afterwards. Was it possible my body was reacting to the rejection in its own way? Not for the first time. I mourned my mother. I wished I had her to ask for advice. If I had been left with a responsible father, I might have been able to go to him, but Patrick was a burden, not a resource. I picked up a box of tampons for when my body worked itself out again, then made my way to the counter. I paid for my purchases and walked back to Bella's in a happy haze. Who knew it could feel so good to stand up for yourself? "Rachel?" Bella squealed as I opened the door, launching herself at me while she waved her phone in my face. "You will never believe it. My phone has been ringing off the hook since you left." I looked at her in confusion. "What? Who called? Is it about work?" "No, an alpha called for you. Not that filthy doggy either. Guess who?" "Guess," I laughed. "Is he the star of your favorite show?" "No. Even better. Nathan Lewis. Nathan Lewis, who was in love with you. He asked how you were doing. I told him I'd give him your number so he could talk to you himself. What do you want to do? Do you want to talk about it? Or do you want to call him? I don't know if you should call him right away. It might seem desperate." Bella was her best when excited. I couldn't help laughing. "I think I'll wait to talk with him. I should probably finish my rejection ceremony first if I don't want to start a fight, right?" "Or a war," Bella nodded. "You're absolutely right. House Lewis and House Wright are always looking for a reason to go to war. Give me your phone. I'll put his number in. Guess who else called?" I obediently gave her my phone, though I couldn't imagine calling Nathan Lewis. He'd been my first boyfriend. He had loved me as I had been when I was a young, confident teenager with a head full of dreams. I wasn't the same girl he remembered, and I was sure he wasn't the same boy. I'd believed myself madly in love with Nathan until Patrick sold me to rapists and inadvertently allowed me to meet my fated mate, Tyler Wright. I couldn't even remember Nathan's alpha scent anymore. The only alpha I ever thought about was my mate. Let me guess this one. The other call was from the star of that reality show, and I've just become a millionaire. Bella shoved me with a laugh. No, it was the filthy doggie's lapdog. Who? Adam, his beta? I couldn't imagine what possible reason Adam would have to call me. I shook my head in confusion, still smiling at Bella's enthusiasm. What did Adam want from me? Is our filthy doggie in trouble with a hangover again? Bella had loved the idea of Tyler having to humble himself enough to ask me for help with a hangover cure. She hadn't been so pleased I'd went there to make it in person, but it was still a little funny. No, he said something is going on at the office. They want you to come down there to help? I didn't know you were secretly a lawyer, Rachel. Are you into corporate espionage these days? We shared a laugh at the idea of me in a boardroom making deals. These days I danced around the place humming to my own tunes. I wasn't in any shape to be making regular business deals, much less corporate ones. I'm sure it's nothing. We were on our way to the couch when my cell phone started going off. I paused to check the caller ID and realized it was Adam calling me directly. Adam? I asked as I answered, cautious and confused at the same time. Rachel, you have to come down to the corporate building. Your father is here and he's making a scene. I don't know how much longer we can contain this. Patrick, I don't care. I didn't care either. Patrick could get himself out of trouble for a change. I had washed my hands of him. Please, madam, I need you to come here. Don't make this any harder on me. The Alpha has demanded I get you here to fix this immediately. A hidden threat existed in Adam's words. If I didn't go help deal with Patrick, Adam would come get me to have me deal with him. Adam always followed Tyler's orders. If Tyler had told him to get me there, he would get me there. I sighed and closed my eyes to regain my calm. Then I told Bella the bad news. I have to go to Tyler's office. Patrick is causing trouble.